Hey everyone, Chuck here again. We're moving on to a video where we look at implementing these individual projects as well as scaling up to overall company solutions here. So again, as a reminder, Chuck opinion piece. Want to do it to engage the conversation between you and I, as well as help myself learn by practicing what I'm reading here out loud and hopefully helping you think through some of the things you're doing to get ready for these exams as well. So we're not using ASCM PowerPoints in the conversation, as well as it's certainly not an official ASCM position. It is a opinion piece by myself here. So if we look at this first part, implementing individual projects here, we need to realize, as part of our project, we've all got charters, which is, it has to be our go-to reference document. So it's going to help us, understand what the project's for, what the problem is, what's the objectives, benefits, risks, and the processes that'll change, major milestones. But it also, as well as if you think about it, it also helps you and I act as a guide so that when we get into conversations about, well, should we do this? Should we do this? Should we do this? We start looking at them in terms of, well, what does the charter tell us we're trying to accomplish? So it can kind of help us discern what the right thing to do. Another part of the project also is it has its own schedule, kickoff date, baselines, KPIs. What do we got to do as a minimum? Those two can help be guides for you and I as we're taking on working through these different projects and that stuff. So it's important that, from an individual product, we've got this anchor we can go back to help us understand what we're going to do here. Now, jumping up to scaling up to, company-wide solutions, enterprise-wide solutions, we got to recognize a couple things as well, that the rollout plan is going to help us implement more pilots and what the, priorities and what we're going to do first, second, third. It's going to help us determine how to implement more of those pilots, scale up the solutions to a bigger audience. There should be a technology cutover. How are we going to transition from old technology to new? Is it going to be just a, go live date? And at that date, we're kind of burning the bridges behind us and going live. Are we going to maintain both systems? We're going to use a phase cutover, touch of both, whatever. It also, as part of that rollout, has to account for change management. And so we've got to recognize what are the change management steps that have to occur within here, as well as what the timing of those have to be. Another area, well, other areas actually that need to be assessed are for levels of change support or resistance, or who's got to be sold on the solution. And we may have to go through group or one-on-one discussions, formal training, active participation. You could make the argument that at this point, should we really have to go through this, Chuck? Because wouldn't we have covered this before? Ideally, in a perfect world, yes, we would hope that to be the case, and we probably have addressed it before, but there's still going to be people who are going to struggle with it or groups to struggle with it. It's probably part of the normal distribution of change management as we move through those stages of change in different paces. So we've got to recognize that there could still be hesitancy, probably, if not rarely, ever going to be overt, nope, we're not going to do it. That's a whole nother conversation, but people move through stages of change differently. So we have to walk that journey with them and helping teams. We say in the book, getting teams to buy in, but I think personally, we got to walk hand in hand with those teams. But walking hand in hand with them is just part of the essential investment we got to make. Shouldn't ever be admitted, shouldn't be superficial, excuse me. Because people are wise, people are smart, people can read between the lines that if we're not committed to their success individually as a group on a personal level versus company, people are going to be hesitant to take you serious here. The rollout plan should also document the implementation steps and how each area will go about performing the new work. We also have to give thought in this rollout plan. Do we do all these rollouts at once, or are we going to stagger the rollout steps? We also can't forget technology and hardware and software. Our future lies in the use of technology so we can see across the supply chain, so we can see, how we could synchronize across the supply chain. So the software and the hardware, it's got to be delivered on time. It's got to be checked. It's got to be accepted. It's got to show that it works at the same time too. Otherwise, we're not getting what we need out of that process there. Okay. A couple other things as well in this whole process is we need to give thought to the cutover plans and how the new technology will be activated, how it will be put into operation. What are we going to do with the old technology? How is it going to be retired? What are the risks involved in that cutover? So there should be some formal planning on the transition for software and technology and hardware to make sure that the cutover from the old to the new is successful. And that has to address, complexities. Do we need any rehearsals and preparation so that when we switch over, very little risk of surprises, if at all.